Hey everyone, I'm your host, Robbie Straczynski. Thank you so much for joining us on episode 109 of Cards Chat, the friendliest poker podcast in town. Today's guest is the program manager and director of education and technology for Poker Power and the vice president of the Women's Poker Association, the WPA. She's also the recent winner of the Women in Poker Hall of Fame Bounty Tournament. On this show, we're going to get to know her a little bit better. AJ Rudolph, welcome to the CardsChat Podcast.
Quite the introduction. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Robbie.
Well earned and well deserved. It's pretty cool. I was very happy to meet you in person after kind of knowing you virtually on social media for a little while. Just a few weeks ago at Resorts World. That was a lot of fun, when you won the tournament and of course at the win during all the WPT world championship festivities. You enjoyed yourself there?
It was such a great week. Hard to come home from that because it was just, every part of it was great. I had ended up winning a seat into the championship, so I got to play that also.
Oh yeah.
I did not win, clearly.
Yeah, we'll talk all about that special ticket and prize package you got there. Yes. I want to start actually though with that thing that I mentioned in the introduction, your recent accomplishment, having won that the Women in Poker Hall of Fame Bounty Tournament. It was at Resorts World. You defeated 155 other women on your way to the winner's circle. Tell us the story of that tournament.
Yes, that was such a fun one too. We had all gone to the awards for the Women in Poker Hall of Fame that morning, and been there, gone to the luncheon, been able to see that, which was incredibly inspiring to watch and see all those awards given out and hear everybody speak. Everyone was hilarious too in there in speaking. So that was really fun to be there for that. But of course, we're all dressed up. And so we all go over to Resorts World directly after, and all the inductees from previous years and the current year that were there, which was, I think, almost all of them. Maybe a couple were missing.
Jennifer Tilly also played in that tournament?
That she did.
Wow, I didn't realize that. That's very cool.
She sat right next to me, actually.
That's awesome.
Good segue there. So we all had gone over to play, so we're all dressed up. Some people changed, and I was like, you know what, I'm going for it. I brought a change of shoes because heels for 12 hours is not so good. But brought a change of shoes, and a bunch of us were dressed up, and we just had an absolute blast getting that one started. And it was just so much fun playing with all the inductees. Some of them played it really straightforward, like they were going for it. Susie made the final table. She was like, Susie Isaac, she's like, no, you're not taking my bounty from me easily. All of the Women in Poker Hall of Fame members had a bounty on their head, and you got to go draw an envelope if you knocked them out. Linda Johnson started at our table, and she also was not playing around. She's like, no, you're gonna have to take these for real. I did hear a couple of the players. I think JJ Lou, she played all in her fold, so she played it kind of fun. And eventually, after we had been there for a little bit, Jennifer Tilly actually sat down next to me, and so I got to spend some time with her. And she's so sweet. She's just the nicest person. People are coming up and getting her autograph, and she's just, talked to every person, and she was really, really wonderful. And
super cool.
And yeah, she's great. She's great. So that was fun to play with her. I did get in the hand with her for her bounty, but so did two others, and I completely missed the flop, and I was like, all right, I got to get out of this one. This isn't happening for me. So sadly, and what's funny enough is I won the whole tournament. I didn't get a single bounty.
You're kidding me.
Not a single one.
Because it's only the Hall of Fame.
It's only the Hall of Famers. So there were 18 people that had bounties out of the tournament. So yeah, I missed them all.
So I guess you have to just settle for $6,108 as the winner. So.
And a seat to the ladies championship.
Exactly. So. So yeah, it's like there were lots of other prizes. I saw you took a picture with 2 trophies. Usually you
I
get
got
one
2.
trophy when you win a tournament. What was that all about?
Right. So I got 1 trophy for that specific event. It actually has the name of the event and everything on it, which was really nice. And then the Women's Poker Association, which I'm the vice president of now, we make sure that we celebrate all ladies finals tables. So we give the trophy and hats and swag and that sort of thing to the entire final table. But the person who wins gets the trophy, which is kind of nice. I actually got to go home with one this year.
That's very cool. I'm sure it's something to be super proud of, bring it home. I saw your husband was there taking pictures.
My husband was there, which was amazing. He doesn't normally come out to poker events usually. We have 2 kids, they're not babies anymore, which makes it easier for me to go to things. They're 12 and 8. But somebody still needs to be home with them. So most of the time he stays home and deals with them when I go off to poker things. But since I had won this big thing to go play, we're like, all right, we're working this out. You're coming this time. So Grandpa came up and stayed with the kids, and he was able to come. And he was actually out at the hockey game that night.
The Golden Knights. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we'll meet up, at some point. And then I was like, oh, you got to get here. This is the final table.
Super cool.
So he came over and was able to watch me take it down, which was fantastic. Because, I was talking about this. So with a lot of our Poker Power students, a lot of them have never played live before. They learn with us virtually, and they've never played live. And so they don't know what it's like to be there through a tournament, and it's sure some of them on TV, the televised ones, it's like all this excitement and people are around.
Sure.
But if you're winning one of those that's, a daily or a whatever, even some of the bigger ones, I mean, truly, there's nobody around. Like, everybody who busted out has gone to another tournament or went to go eat or whatever, because they don't know how long you're gonna last, and they're not gonna sit there and watch for like 8 hours. So it's interesting when the poker room ends up being half empty and you're like, yay, I won. But
then you get all that wonderful love, all the likes and favorites and shares and stuff. So.
You got to go to social media for that. I did actually have a couple of friends in the room, because they had some other events that were still going on then. So that was nice to like run over and
cool.
with them.
And then you had the chance to parlay, as you said, you had a seat in the WPT Ladies Championship.
Yes.
So yes, you didn't cash in there, but still to have a seat there, it's a pretty darn awesome event. I got to see the kickoff of that. What was it like for you?
It was great. The ladies events are so much fun. It's I think everybody just really has fun with it. And granted, we're competitive. We're all trying to win.
Right.
But it's great to see all the women in the room. And I've been pretty vocal about women's events, especially with doing the jobs that I do. There was that kind of hullabaloo about the guy who had entered the ladies tournament, not in it was 2021, I think. And he had paid the $10,000 at the World Series to enter. And everybody's like, oh, well, he's, building up the prize pool and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're missing the point.
Right.
And to me, this is the point. And it kind of goes back to the fact that I teach women who are new to the game. It's intimidating to play with, to play in an environment that you're not certain of first. Sure. And if you're going to play a ladies event because that feels more comfortable to you as an entrance into the game, and all of a sudden there's a guy at your table.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you some really interesting psychology behind this too. So almost all of our classes that we do at Poker Power, we say it's women or those who identify as such. And every once in a while we will have, because we work with corporate clients, so we work with a bunch of different companies and teach their networks. And sometimes they're like, well, we have some male allies and they want to participate. And we're like, okay, for the one-off event, we will have the men participate. But I have seen this every single time. When the men participate, it's just innate somehow that they are willing to bet, raise, and bluff more than the women are.
So interesting.
it's so interesting. And I don't know if that's literally like a hormonal thing. I don't know the actual science behind it, but there's definitely science behind it because I see it every single time. And I'm trying to teach women to be aggressive in poker playing because aggressive is a good winning strategy. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm like, no, you need to bet and raise this much. And you need to take control over the hand, and trying to get them to do that when a man is already doing that is really hard when they're not comfortable doing so.
Sure.
So that's my whole thought process behind the ladies events. It's like, they really do need to be ladies events, for that reason. And it's like, we want more people in poker. Don't we want more people and not to turn them away and have them be turned away by it? That's good for everybody, and it's good for the game to bring more people in. So
100%. I mean, I imagine at an $1,100 buy-in event, not everyone was fortunate enough to win a free seat, but I imagine you didn't have pure beginners in that tournament. So, like, what was the vibe
but
like?
It should be the gold stamp, right?
Sure, of course.
Whether it's WPT, whether it's WSOP, what those big tours, they should be the bar for everybody all the way down. So if they do it differently, then everybody else is like, well, we're going to do it differently. So
right. And what was the vibe like at your table?
Oh, it was fun. We had a fun table. There was at one point though, a couple of ladies were doing some trash talk back and forth. So
okay.
Yeah, that was definitely happening, but it was good. A woman, Sherry, that I know was at my table. We keep ending up at the same table at ladies events, so that's kind of fun. We played together in Cherokee too. But it was fun. It was a good table.
That's great. I mean, I think I wouldn't, be mistaken to say, well, the entire reason you ended up in Las Vegas in the first place, as you mentioned, you won this seat to the WPT World Championship main event, and it was awarded to you by on behalf of WPT Global by Ashley Sleeth. She gave it away in a Twitter contest after you were nominated by your friend Sarah Steffen. Let's hear that story.
Yes. So, and that was right in the beginning. They had, I think I was either the first or one of the first to win one of those packages. They had just started doing this. So Sarah also works for Poker Power. She was actually the original teacher that they hired on to start this, what wasn't just an idea at that point. And Sarah and I met in a home game a bazillion years ago, and so knew each other from poker. And she brought me into Poker Power when it was starting to be like, oh, this is more than an idea. This is becoming a thing. So we've been friends for a long time, and that came up, and it was about kindness in poker and showing kindness in poker, and so that made me really happy that she nominated me for that, because of all the things that I would like to be known for, that is definitely top of the list.
That's awesome.
So that made me happy. So I really do try to put good out in the world, and with this job, it's very rewarding, and I get to do a lot of that and helping women through their careers, and playing this fun game that we all love.
I will definitely be talking a little bit more in depth about your role, your day-to-day with Poker Power, with WPA as well. But I've never played in a $10,000 buy-in event. There was a lot. I mean, I was there. I saw tremendous electricity throughout the ballroom every single day.
Amazing.
It was unreal. So what was your playing experience like, in a 10K?
Yeah, so that's definitely way above where I'm usually like, I play some of the 1100s and the, $1,000 buy-ins and that sort of thing. But yeah, had never played in a $10,000 buy-in. So I was like, yes, I won this. Oh my God. But I have previously, before this also, worked with Melanie Weissner. And so she was coaching me, and I was like, all right, I'm going to need some more coaching sessions. Right. So let's do that. And so I worked hard, I worked hard
prepared specifically for this event.
Exactly. And cause I know it's like, I'm going to be playing against the best in this, right? I need to hold my own. And I played, I had a tough table. It was a tough table for sure. There was a guy there who was taking all our chips, and he just put the pressure on hard, constantly. And he was tough to play against, for sure. Like the rest of the table were all like,
right.
We gotta get this guy.
That's one thing. When you're at a cash table, you could always request like a seat change or a table change. If you're in a tournament,
you're get away from this guy. I mean, and really talking about it in front of him, we're just like, dude, wow. But you know what? Kudos to him. He
Yeah.
put the pressure on, and he was taking all our chips.
Mhm.
I actually didn't end up seeing where he placed. I'll have to go back and look at that.
Okay.
But I honestly feel like I played well. You know, I played my game. I ran my chips up a couple of times. You know, lost some back a couple of times.
Sure.
But I feel pretty happy in my play. I played almost all of the day on day one.
Okay, good.
And unfortunately, and I was up from starting stack, almost double starting stack, and then 45 minutes to the break of day one. Shoved all in with pocket queens, ran into pocket aces. He took most of the stack. And then the next hand, I waited a minute because then I'm short.
Right.
And had ace queen, shoved all in again, ran into the same guy with aces. So
yikes.
Brutal.
Oh, it's a shame. But like
But
at least you know that could
poker.
have happened in the first two hands of the day, right?
At
At least you got a whole day of play.
I had the whole day to play. You know, I was at the same table. I never got moved. You know, and there was so much excitement in the room. It was just such a classy event. Like they just did everything so well, and it was so much fun. And I was buzzing with energy. I went and had dinner with my husband and my brother-in-law, and they were like, "You are on fire right now. You are so full of energy." I'm like, "Cause this is awesome."
That's so great. Well, they definitely put on one heck of a spectacle. That's a
did.
big time players experience. So that's super cool. Let's shift gears, as one does often at the poker table in order to succeed. Let's learn about AJ a little bit before poker came into your life. At least I think before poker came into your life. You attended Michigan State. Go Spartans. Your BA in telecommunications. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, you spent the majority of your professional career before getting involved with Poker Power in, I guess, the radio industry doing QA, quality assurance?
So yes and no. It was in the radio industry. I worked for Q101 in the Loop radio stations in Chicago. I started with them doing promotions and marketing. And so I was doing that. So events, and, you know, you see a radio station out at like a cell phone store or doing a concert or, you know, that sort of thing. So I was managing all our staff to do that and go out to those events. And after a while, I was like, wow, this is, you know, not great work-life balance because events are all the time. And so I moved into in the same company. I worked for them a long time, into their division, working on their websites and their mobile apps.
Okay.
And so spent a lot of time. So I was the quality assurance manager, working on their apps and their websites, up until not long before Poker Power. I had a couple of stints in between there at some other tech companies. And some of it was while working for Poker Power too, because it just started as a real small thing, and I would help them out on the weekends and that sort of thing. Or all of a sudden, boom, this is a company.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, so obviously you have your professional talents and career that you had carried with you into this new position. But you mentioned that you met Sarah at this home game. So when did you exactly sort of get into poker, and what was the catalyst?
I was like 21. So it was a long time ago. We had, I think it was my brother-in-law had like a game he played in New Jersey. And we were out visiting him. So the first time I sat and played, and I always played cards. Cards was big, like through high school, euchre, spades, hearts, all of that. I was always a card player, but never poker. And they were like, "Oh, we're playing poker. Come on, everybody's going to play." And it was couples, so that was nice. I wasn't just like the only girl.
Sure.
And yeah, so we just play, you know, and it was dealer calls it and all the goofy
Oh yeah, I know all about that stuff.
Screw your neighbor and all the ridiculous ones. So we played, and I had a blast with that. And then there was an amateur poker league in Chicago. So we started going to that, me and my husband did, and enjoyed that. That went away, but from that we made friends that started this home game, and a bunch of us still play together from that home game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you never went pro as a poker player. So what is it about the game that intrigued you and that you still enjoy so much?
Yeah. And I was truly, it was mostly just home games for a very long time. Like every other Friday night we'd go and play. When we had kids, we literally brought our kids and put them to sleep in the bedroom, because I'm like, I'm not going to stop playing. Are you going to stop playing and stay home? You're like, no. So they're going to sleep in the bedroom. So we just continue to play, and we always love it. It's just such a fun social game. It's a great way to hang out with friends when you're doing something. And, you know, and there's several of us from that group that's gotten a lot more competitive over the years. Every once in a while, if we were in Vegas, I would like go play a satellite for the World Series or something like that. But it wasn't until probably 5 or 6 years ago where like I would start going to the circuits here in Chicago. And then obviously with this job, you know, poker is now my focus. So I think all of us that are teachers at Poker Power say it's made our game better, and it makes us focus on it. And it makes us really think through strategy, because now we have to explain that strategy to someone. So now you're really thinking about it all the time. So that made me a lot more competitive in it. Unfortunately, you know, we had the pandemic in there. So as soon as I'm like way more excited about it and I want to go play all the things, there are no things to play except online. So that was unfortunate. But you know, now that there's stuff to play, let's go play. So.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's obviously quite a career pivot from what you had been doing before. And you mentioned, you know, how the opportunity came about. I mean, it's nice. Okay, a friend tells you about this thing part-time, but what was it about, I guess, the company's mission? You know, like you said, it was just sort of starting out just a couple of years ago, and you were, you know, more or less on the ground floor when it started. What was it about the company's mission that you said, you know what, it's time to move away from what I've been doing until now, and, you know, slowly but surely get more involved with Poker Power?
I love jobs that I can be passionate about. And this is definitely one of them, because, you know, I've always loved poker. And then I started hearing about the mission of it. And so the focus of Poker Power is to teach skills via the game of poker. Poker is really the vehicle. And it's fun, and I hope people love it and stick with it. But it teaches specific skills like negotiation and risk assessment and capital allocation and all these resilience. Even, you know, you lose a lot, so you have to pick yourself back up and start over again. So all of those things it teaches. And you know, we actually, when we teach, they're not playing for money. It's just practice and that sort of thing. So you don't have anything on the line, but you can learn and practice this over and over again. For me, all of the fields I worked in have been male dominated. So it resonated with me about the challenges that women face in the workplace, because I've seen them. And so for me to want to help more women move up in leadership, there's such a small amount of women that are in the C-suite. They're CEOs of their company or see anything. And so it really resonated with me, because I also do think that it helped me previously, and I didn't realize it because I had played poker for all these years. And I have lots of stories about how I negotiated, and I was given offers, and I read the room, and I was like, they're going to lowball me. And guess what? I'm going to go make sure that doesn't happen. And all of these different things. And I think I got a lot of that from poker, because poker makes you, you know, grow a tough skin and push back, or you're not going to win. So, right?
For sure.
So yeah, that really resonated with me. And then I just dove right in.
So you said it started out as like a part-time, you know, sort of giving a couple of classes and teaching. Eventually it became a full-time thing. And I guess, you know, this is sort of a sort of an upstart type of, or startup in a way, type of a company from Peak Six, one of the shoot-offs of that company. I guess you sort of had to create your role for yourself. Like, what's the day-to-day like?
Absolutely. And really the company just grew and changed over time. And I really love startup atmosphere. You know, one of the apps I worked at previously with the radio station, we built it from the ground up, and I enjoy that. Because, you know, you get to create the roadmap, and you get to create what this company and this product looks like. And we're really good at trying things. If it fails, try something different. And so that's a lot of fun for me to really, create something from scratch and create my role. So we're a small team still, so I wear a lot of hats. I did get to keep some of my technology background. We actually built the Poker Power Play app.
Cool. Nice.
So yeah, I got to be the poker expert and create the product roadmap and make the decisions on that. And make sure it works, because that's my background also.
This is Android, iOS, both?
Android and iOS. Yeah.
Nice. So cool. You know both. That's rare to find a developer who knows both. That's cool.
Yeah. So we have that out. We use that for our classes. We use that for our community. So I was able to keep that, but I also do a lot of our teaching myself. I'm in charge of our curriculum and making sure that works. It's been several iterations. Melanie wrote one of the iterations, Sarah wrote one of the iterations, but I manage all of that and change that as needed. We had to create a live curriculum because now we do things not virtually.
Right.
Also, we still do a ton of virtual lessons because that's easier for a lot of people,
Sure.
and we can reach more people that way. We're in like 40 countries now, so
Wow.
that's kind of amazing with the women that we've taught.
That's
But now we actually, yeah. And now we actually go and do some things in person. So I actually fly around a fair amount, and we go to companies and we do, a quick, here's your poker 101, but also how it ties in and how from the female perspective, this can help you. And we sit them down at tables and we teach them in, sometimes in conference rooms of offices or their kitchenette or, wherever. And it's just a blast. It's so much fun seeing people learn and be like, this is so cool. I never thought poker was this. I always thought they had different connotations of it, right? Poker has such negative connotations, unfortunately, but really it's a fun game and it can help everybody.
For sure. And obviously, even online with a webcam, it's one thing to see a person's reaction, but, like any in-person game, you see the entire body language and how they're just responding to these, positive stimuli and this, the stuff that they're learning. I can imagine it's very, very fulfilling for you.
It is.
And you mentioned, I think before we got on, that you work from home mostly, and then now you're doing, this travel as you've sort of grown into the role. The role has expanded a little bit. What's that sort of been like? And obviously with the pandemic thrown in the middle, moving from that career as far as just, family dynamics as your kids have gotten older, that sort of a thing. How has that transition been on the personal side for you?
Yeah, it's been interesting. My husband actually used to be the one that traveled all the time. He manages rock bands, so he was on the road quite a bit.
Wow.
And the tables have turned. So he's like, okay, all right, we'll work this out. And he does still travel sometimes. So it's always a juggling act. And poker's really interesting, especially when you talk to women with kids that play. So even just traveling for work or traveling to play or that sort of thing, that's tough. Like trying to carve out time when you have kids. I've said to babysitters before, I'm like, okay, well, I could be back in 2 hours or I could be back in 8 hours.
Right.
That's just poker.
Right.
So yeah, it is interesting with kids, trying to just find that balance. But it works out really well that I can work from home and do a lot of this from home because I'm on Zoom so much, either talking with clients or doing our actual classes online. But then, when that's done, I can walk in the room and meet my kid when he gets off the bus.
For sure.
So there's a nice balance. I am gone a fair amount, but that helps it too. So that's
not exactly one-to-one, but nowadays I know what that's like. I've been working from home, also sort of self-employed for the last 5.5 years. And that feeling of being able to be home when your kids get home from school is a very, very cool thing, and kind of greet them. I definitely like that. I set my own hours, which is really nice.
It is nice.
And also, I do plenty of traveling. It's certainly a lot farther than you from Chicago flying from
You
Israel.
Sure do, yeah.
Flying from Israel everywhere. But I will speak to that as well. I only really was able to start doing that 5-6 years ago. I consider myself also like a pretty involved and devoted dad. And even so, I very much recognize, and I love my kids. They love me. I got 3 of my own. It's different when daddy's gone as opposed to when mommy's gone, no matter how involved the dad can be. So I can understand that challenge. Miriam hasn't done too much traveling for too long. And when she's done it, I try to always step up, and the kids step up as they get older. But it certainly poses a unique challenge for mothers. It just does. And I think it's pretty cool that when you go into the corporate boardrooms like you do, that that's an experience I imagine many of the ladies in those companies can relate to. They say, oh, here you are, you're doing it yourself.
Yes. I try to be the example. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
So
okay, well, as a startup, as the company has grown, I suppose beyond sort of setting your own agenda for what you're going to be doing week to week, month to month, you're in the corporate world. KPIs, what are your key performance indicators? What sort of do you as a board or you as a company consider to be measures of success for Poker Power?
Yeah, it's really important for us to reach as many women as possible. So that's why virtual has been so successful for us, because we can reach big groups that way. We're still very hands-on. We have just over 20 female poker teachers on staff that are, most of them are part-time. And there's 4 full-time staff. But we can do these big groups and just have multiple teachers on. We'll do breakout rooms and that sort of thing when we do it virtually. And that really is our biggest thing. We just want to reach as many women as possible, because once they go through this program and see what it can offer them, so many of them are like, oh, I get it. And this is fun. And this is teaching me something. And that really is the biggest thing for us is to get more women to be exposed to what we do and what we're talking about, and just those concepts of leadership and how poker can help you with them. And on the flip side too, poker is such a male dominated game. It's like, if the women never want to go sit at a live poker table, that's fine. They don't have to. Like they will successfully complete our program without having done that. But that's a whole nother level. So bringing those women there, that's, you may feel comfortable doing it online, but walking into a live poker room is different. So,
For sure.
That's a great thing too, to when we have women that want to do that, and just seeing the success and being like, I did that.
That's very cool.
Is pretty great.
I want to actually ask a specific question about that, because as we know, serious, I guess, recreational poker players, we're not supposed to be results oriented all the time. It's got to be process oriented. So, I suppose, whatever numbers you do hit, and I imagine there's a lot of pride that you take, and, kind of demonstrated a little bit, seeing those success stories. Is there something, that you can kind of like point to as a highlight of a particular success story, a woman or a group of women who, just really grabbed the bull by the horns and really just were beyond successful having taken your program?
Yeah, there's a few, and I love it when people come back to us with those stories and we get to hear them. I have, she's actually a friend of mine, and that's how she heard about Poker Power, but she's taken our lessons a long time ago, and she's now had several iterations where she wanted to go into politics, and she took that leap. And she took that leap, and she said, I don't think I ever would have, gone to this politician and say, hey, can I work for you? Without having that confidence that poker gave her. There's a woman that we worked with, and she just recently, she's going for her MBA, and she's talking to different colleges, and she says, I don't think I ever would have known I could negotiate without you all pushing me to make sure I negotiate and get my worth. And she negotiated her scholarship up from a third to a half.
That's amazing.
And she's like, I never would have done that without your classes and you all telling me to push myself and go for it.
That's super cool. I mean, that's not the kind of stuff you learn in school,
No, you don't. You don't. And people don't know all the things that they can negotiate for. It's like, go negotiate for a new car. Like, you can negotiate for a mattress. I've walked out of a mattress store before because it wasn't a good price. And they came back and gave me a better one. It's like, there's so many things you can negotiate for, and people just don't realize it. So we try to give people the confidence to do that. And those are really the stories that stick
for
with
sure.
me.
Here in the Middle East, that's just called haggling. And it's like, it's almost like if you agree to the price that they give you, the store owner is like, no, you don't understand. We have to go back and forth.
Right.
We've talked quite a bit about Poker Power. We still will do some more, but you're also the vice president of the Women's Poker Association. How did that come about?
Yeah. I mean, I went from 0 to 60 with poker here. Like, once you get into the industry, you're not getting out. But that was really a nice thing to have happen too. We created a partnership between Poker Power and the WPA a ways back. And so there was a kind of a Poker Power seat on the board because we were, working as the partner for education, because the Women's Poker Association is about supporting women who already play, really.
Right.
And yes, absolutely supporting newbies, but there wasn't really an education program. that the WPA had. So this worked out really well. When Poker Power came along, we created this partnership. So I was going to the board meetings and being involved in that sort of thing. And Lupe, who created Lupe Soto, who created the WPA to begin with, always has a million things going on. And she's like, I've been the president long enough. I'm gonna step down and let somebody else run with this awesome thing we've created. So Tara Smith, we appointed her as president. She was vice president, so that seat came open, and they asked me to if I would take that position and appointed me there, and I was happy to, because these two things go so well together, and they're both things I really believe in, and it's nice to be able to keep these relationships going with the poker industry, and really work on making sure that they're doing the best they can for women in poker, and giving these final table prizes and doing all these great things. We're working on the Raise It Up program, which is just having the poker rooms kind of certify that they are willing to take those steps with their staff, and making sure that they're trained on how to deal with in situations if somebody's being treated poorly, and that should be for men or women. Like, anybody who's being treated poorly at the poker table, the staff should say something and handle that situation properly. Nice. And that way, when we have those relationships with the rooms, it's easier for us to say to the women, we know this room is a place where you'll be taken care of if there's a problem. So that makes women feel better about going to play there.
Absolutely. Well, folks, I mentioned at the outset, this is episode 109. We have 108 other wonderful episodes that you could listen to here on the CardsChat Podcast, one of which was with Lupe Soto. That was number 50. So if you haven't listened to that yet, Lupe definitely talks about her career and the WPA as well, and a lot of their initiatives. So if you haven't yet listened to that one, go ahead and listen to it right after you finish this episode. AJ, I've
She's a legend.
Say it again, sorry?
She's a legend.
Yeah, she absolutely is. I've seen you on pictures on social media, and I think also once in person at WSOP. You and a couple colleagues, you're often sort of sitting behind a desk. They've got some clipboards in front of you, and you got like merch that you're giving out. And what's that all about? What's that whole desk job?
The whole desk job, the booth. Yes, we always, especially at these bigger events, we try to have a table or a booth out, just creating awareness around the organizations, especially at ladies events. We want to make sure that women who play know that if they have friends who want to learn, we can teach them, or that the Women's Poker Association exists, and is a way that they can find community in the poker world, and learn about different things that are going on. We do giveaways and all kinds of things like that. So creating a sense of community, I think, is so big for the poker world, for a lot of different subsets for it. And so we just want to make sure that the awareness is created, and do fun giveaways, and give out swag and that sort of thing. So it's really more an awareness thing, and making sure that people know about us. And
how do you decide which events to set up the booth at?
Mostly it just depends on who's going to be there.
Okay.
And the bigger events. We have done some here in Chicago recently, because I'm here.
Yeah.
I've kind of taken over the Midwest region.
Gotcha. Yeah.
The WPA, we've kind of segmented it off, because you have to obviously have people there to do these types of things. So we're trying to do more of those as people are around. I mean, the Women's Poker Association is all volunteer run. Right. So, we want to try to be at events where there's going to be more people there, but we need to have people in those locations. So we kind of try to poll and see which of the advocates are going to be there, which of the board, who's able to help out, and who's able to run the booth. And we want people to be able to play the events too. Like we're all there to play poker. So want somebody stuck at a booth all hours of the day. Right. Make sure we're trading it off, and it makes sense. So that's really the way we're thinking about it right now.
You mentioned WPA is all volunteer run. Let's say, I imagine there's plenty of women, maybe even men, who are listening to this episode and say, hey, I want to get involved, I want to support. How would they go about sort of reaching you guys if they want to volunteer?
Absolutely. So they can go to wpa.poker. is the website. There's a section on there for advocates. We also have the purple tie guys. And so this is just a great way for men to say they support women in poker. They're willing to speak up if they see something that's, if somebody's being treated poorly or there's something wrong. It's really just a way to say, we support this organization and we're trying to make the poker world a friendly place for everyone. And then the women can sign up to help and be advocates. We definitely need more people in the Midwest. So
that's good. Well, I can say, I don't know if you're aware, maybe you are aware, you're speaking to a purple tie guy, very proud one.
I do know.
What's so funny, I realize, not everyone is, maybe you're just listening instead of just watching this on YouTube. It happens to be, I didn't realize this, it wasn't preconceived or whatever. Like, I happen to be wearing a purple shirt, no purple tie, but a purple shirt today. Switching gears. Sorry.
Well done.
Thank you. Thanks. Switching gears once more, all of this, these lessons, your enjoyment for poker, your passion for poker isn't something you just do out there. It's something you also, besides trophies, you also bring that poker passion into your home. You have a family poker night every Thanksgiving. Tell us a little bit about that.
That we do. A lot of holidays when we get together. My father-in-law plays, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law play, like we all play. So it's just, poker's such a fun thing to do with family. And it's just, we play a super low stakes, just let's have fun. And this is a fun thing to sit around and do in the evening. I have taught my kids how to play, and that goes back to, it teaches all these skills. So why shouldn't they know how to play this game that's really strategic at their age? It will help them in their life for sure. And it's fun. They can do it with their friends. I used to sit around dorm rooms playing cards. If I knew how to play poker, we probably would have played poker too.
Right.
So, it's a great way to connect and I think it's just fun for everybody. So we love family card nights and that's a lot of fun. Actually, once my kids finally decided to learn, because for a while it was like, oh, that's mom's thing, I don't want to learn. And then they finally learned, and now they're insatiable. They're like, come on, let's play. And sometimes
that's
I'm
so
like,
cool.
Guys, it's my job and my hobby. Like,
right.
I just need a break.
Gotta eat, sleep, and breathe poker. That's what it's all about. So if they understand the game, they know it, they're competitive. What did they say when you brought home the trophies? What was their reaction?
Oh, they were thrilled. There was FaceTiming that happened after that the next day. We were asleep. But they were thrilled. They're like, how much did you win and how much of that do I get?
I love it, Greg.
Cool. Yes, they were proud.
That's nice. Well, I noticed, like one of the things I always try to do with our guests is, look up at the Hendon Mob. So, we mentioned your recent tournament victory, but just only a couple other events, tournaments that you've cashed in. And you mentioned just for so many years, it was just home games. Are you also just sort of more of a cash game player than a tournament player usually?
No, honestly, I am more of a tournament player than anything else. But like I said, it was just, I was in home games forever. And when you have really small kids, it is hard to go play poker. It's hard to travel to play poker. It is hard to get out for the night to play poker. My kids are 8 and 12. So before the pandemic, they were, 9 and
7, 9,
5. Like
wow.
they those are little kids, and so it's really hard for me to go do a lot of that. There were a lot of years where Sarah was going to Vegas. She's like, come join us and come play all this poker, and I'm like, it's just hard.
I know that feeling. Yes.
So prioritizing, time is a big thing with poker. You have to give a lot of time for it. So I would play locally. We have a lot of charity games around here that I would play. I would go to the casinos occasionally. But like for a long time, the dailies weren't even listed on Hendon Mob. Right. So I would go to Vegas and I've won Bally's daily a couple of times, or Planet Hollywood when they had a poker room, but like none of those get reported. I was like, man, come on.
I think they do get reported now though, right?
They do.
Nice.
Although sometimes there's like, so some of the dailies, even at the World Series. So I took second in a daily at Grand Victoria like a few weeks ago, and Kev Math is like, I'm trying to find the data. I'm like, all right, come on, I need another notch in my belt.
Gosh. Well, shout out to Shout out to our good friend Kevin Mathers. He was also previously on the show. That was episode number 45. So another great.
He's awesome, and he does his best to like make sure there is so much data out there, and he really does try to track it down as much as possible.
Absolutely,
So
and all the
to
guys
him.
over at the Hendon Mob for sure. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. They're doing their best for sure, and that's a lot to keep up with. So.
Yeah, one cash game I know you played because I saw you there was the ladies mug, the ladies meetup game at Win. That scene, I mean, again, I didn't play. I was just kind of like watching. It looked like everyone was just having the time of their lives.
The time of our lives. It really was so much fun. And that was my last day in Vegas. And I was like, maybe I'll go play this tournament. No, I just sat there for like 10 hours.
Wow, that's a long session.
That was a long session. That was the longest cash session I've ever done because I'm not really a cash player. I will occasionally play it. I just don't like it as much. But yeah, we just sat there. I mean, it was just such a fun table, and you know, Tara Smith was there, and she and I, when we're in Vegas, a lot of the times we're just working. You know, we're doing stuff for the WPA. I'm doing stuff for Poker Power. So, you know, we're seeing each other, but we're not hanging out.
Right.
And so we're both like, we're hanging out, and it was just great. And Sammy G was there, and like just a bunch of women at the table that I had not met in person before. So that was fun. And we just had a great day. It was just so much fun to hang out and chat, and loved it, every minute of it.
Did you win one of the special prizes they were handing out? I mean, you won quite a lot of prizes already.
Sammy, so yeah, there was the splash pots. Sammy, I took a shot at it with my ace high. That didn't go anywhere. But Sammy won both of them at our table, so good for her.
Well, just one more question of mine before we move into the community questions that our Cards Chat forum members have submitted for you. I want to end off on this. Your favorite movie? I like this pick, A League of Their Own. Why is that? What is your favorite scene? What's your favorite part of that movie?
You know, it's really funny, and that's always been my favorite movie. And then it's just so funny that now, like, my entire focus is like women in a male-dominated field. But it's always been my favorite movie. Maybe that's why. But it's just, you know, those are all just super strong, awesome women. And I just love everything about that movie. And they're just like going for it. And it's competitive. I'm super competitive, clearly, because I play poker, but I've always been competitive, you know. It's like we used to have rock, paper, scissors tournaments at work, and I was winning that, gosh darn it. So I think I love the camaraderie, the community, the strong women in that. It's just, I love that movie.
I can't remember the last time I saw it, but I do remember, I mean, it's a very famous line. It was in all the commercials. Tom Hanks, his character, you know, goes up to Lori Petty, her character. There's no crying in baseball. So I do have to ask then, I guess I suppose as a follow-up, is there crying in poker?
Yes.
Okay. And under what circumstances?
100%. I have absolutely cried in poker, not at the table. I had to walk away, but yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, a lot of us on the Poker Power team have talked about this, you know. Yes, women tend to sometimes let our emotions show more easily than men. Not that we're more emotional. I don't think that's the case, but I think it's more okay in society for us to show it, so we just do sometimes. And we also cry when we get mad. So you know, yeah, I busted out of an MSPT in the first 15 minutes in Michigan a while back, and I was just so mad at myself because I played it wrong. And I knew I played it wrong. The second I did it, I was like, oh, and I'm out in 15 minutes, right? Yeah. And I walk away, and Jeremy Smith, the tournament director, is right there. He's like, out already? And I was like, I do not want to talk right now. Oh, and I walk away, and I run into Kaina, and I'm just like, and she's like, oh, you know, because you're just mad and you're frustrated, and you have this buildup from the whole day, and you're so excited to go and do this thing, and you're gonna be playing for multiple days because it's a multi-day event, and then suddenly your expectations are totally turned, because sometimes that's just how it goes. Sometimes the cards turn on you. Sometimes you did it wrong yourself. It was me this time. You know,
well, at the end of the day, it's really just a physical manifestation of a very powerful emotional reaction, something you're passionate about. You'll cry about it.
Yep. So So yes, that's all right. Sometimes I cry about poker.
I hear that. All right.
I'll admit it.
Well, folks, in this segment of the show, we turn to you guys, our Cards Chat community, to see what questions you wanted to ask our guests. We do have a dedicated thread on the Cards Chat forum for this. So as we announce who our future guests will be, please be sure to send in your questions. Our first question comes from Mart1194. It's a name I haven't seen before, so glad to see some new participation. Thank you very much, Mart1194. Wants to know, AJ, what golden tip would you give to women new to poker?
Ooh, good question. Honestly, the biggest one that I say is get your mind wrapped around, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to make a mistake. So don't be upset when you do, because you don't know everything yet. You're just learning. Maybe you're just sitting down at a live poker table for the first time. And this goes for men or women or whomever. Like, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to do the wrong thing. You're going to bet out a turn accidentally. You're going to, bet the wrong amount. You're going to do something wrong. So just expect that you're going to do that, and then it'll be much easier to get over.
Got it. Well, good answer to a very good question, as you said. Next question, a few questions here from Chica Bonita, one of our frequent question askers. Thank you for sending these in. AJ, Chica Bonita wants to know, says as follows: it's great that you teach women how to play poker. As far as I understand, the lessons are paid. Are there any introductory free classes, and how do you motivate women to participate in your courses?
That's a great question too. So we actually have been talking about this recently. It's funny. We've been talking about this, and one of our community members was talking about this literally yesterday. So we actually used to have our community lessons for free. We do charge for them, mostly because that makes people accountable, right?
Interesting. Right.
Think about that. If something is free, it's much easier to blow off.
Yeah.
So if they pay even a small amount for it, you're more willing to show up for something.
I have to I wouldn't ordinarily interrupt, but like, I have to say, with me also, that is so true. There was like one time I went on a quote unquote free walking tour, but they charged you $1 online when you're booking for it. And I'm like, I don't want to throw away $1. And like, you're so right. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
So really, I mean, that's what we found over the years. Like, it's important. That's why, but also, I think it would be helpful because sometimes people just don't know what they're getting into. So we may do a, one-off, like, open house, kind of show up and try this thing out. The way we motivate people, truly, a lot of our clients and community come through companies. And it's really interesting because so many women, they hear poker and they do not think poker is for them. And the way we talk about it and the lessons that are learned, companies see that and understand that. So then they host these workshops for the women in their company. So the women are going because their company told them to. They may think it sounds interesting, but their company told them to. And then they show up for the first lesson and they go, oh, I get it. Right. This is fun. I'm learning something from this, and I understand the whole perspective of it. So they just need to get there. And that's all the motivation usually that they need.
Right. Oh, very cool. Just like anything else, any sort of product someone has, is just get them through the door, and then the product will do the rest. And it certainly sounds like a fantastic product. One more question from Chica Bonita. And I imagine this, I'll sort of like paraphrase it here. They're wondering if at some point you intend to expand to other languages beyond English, as far as instruction for, non-English classes of poker instruction.
That is also on our roadmap.
Okay.
Yes, Spanish is definitely something that we're working on translating all of our curriculum to, and doing some more things around with that. So that is something that is coming. Beyond that, I don't know yet.
Okay.
But Spanish is something on the roadmap for sure.
Very
for
cool.
This year.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Here's a name I haven't seen in a while. Thank you very much, Belladonna05, for sending in this question. Belladonna05 says, I see that you live in the Chicago area. Hi, neighbor. What's the best poker room near you in terms of volume, management, and smoke avoidance?
Ah, nice. Yeah, smoke avoidance. I mean, there's no smoking in the poker rooms, so that's good. The closest casino to me is the Horseshoe.
That's in
And so
Indiana,
I do play over
right?
it's in Indiana, yeah. So I'm not far from there, but still in Illinois. And so I do play over there sometimes. I really like Grand Victoria, also because the poker room is run by a woman, and she's like, get more women in here. And you know, they did a ladies event for the World Series circuit, and she's great, and she runs a great room. So and I haven't found that one to be it's not too smoky over there, because the poker room is kind of off the main entrance, and so you're not like within the depths of the casino like a lot of the other ones are, so it's more separated. So it doesn't seem like the smoke carries in there much at all. For a long time in the pandemic, all the poker rooms were closed. And there's a bunch of charity games here. There's Windy City Poker, which I play in a lot. It's actually very close to my house. And they do a lot of ladies events for us. We do one quarterly. We have one coming up January 29th with them. Kirk over there does a great job with everything, and he's always great with working it with us. So that one being so close to my house, I play there a lot, and it's not always turbo, so that's nice too.
You get a lot of play for your buy-in. That's good.
Yes.
That's good. Very important.
I like to play for more than an hour.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Cool. We'll end off with Acid Burn FX. I love the questions you put out here, Acid Burn FX. Thank you very much. Pretty deep. So very good questions on which to end off the show. AJ, if someone asked to be your apprentice and learn all that you know, what would you teach them?
Oh gosh, that's a lot.
Deep, right?
That is deep.
We'll let you use a time bank on this one.
Right. Gosh. All right. So, I mean, there's a few things, you know, one, go for what you want. Like I would teach them to just really always push for what you want. That's been my mantra from day one. And I don't know if I was born with that or what, but if I want something, I'm going to push for it, and I'm not going to take no for an answer. It's like with the radio station gig. When I was coming here, I was an intern in Michigan, and it's like I came to Chicago, and they're like, you have to work for the Loop. The Loop is the one to work for. Well, they wouldn't give me the time of day. Okay. And so I called the program director, Greg Sulk, for every week for weeks and weeks on end, telling him to hire me. And it took him a while, but there was finally a job that fit me. And he was like, I remember you called me all the time.
Nice.
So it's like, be persistent in life, and really go for what you want, and try to get that job that you want, or try to go for that thing. You know, there's going to be obstacles in your way, whether it's monetary, whether it's distance, whether it's whatever. But you know, that's something I think I've really done a lot of in my life. And that's something that goes through a lot of aspects that you can use. So I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Great answer. Acid Burn FX also wants to know, and we'll give you a pass on this if you want to pass. What is the biggest lie you have ever told, and why did you lie? We can give you a pass if you'd like.
I don't even know. It's funny. My mom is like the most honest person. So I'm kind of a terrible liar. I'm a good bluffer, but I also talk about how bluffing is not really lying, because bluffing is just withholding information and not telling all the information, right? It's different from lying.
Indeed.
Oh, I don't know. That's a really good one. I mean, probably like big lies about where I was supposed to be when I was a high schooler, and like not sleeping over at the friend's house I said I was supposed to be sleeping over at, you know, because honestly, I don't know.
That's not too bad.
That's not too bad. I truly, I can't think of, I'm not a huge liar, I guess.
That's my husband. Well, shout out to Mama. That's good for teaching you well. I like that.
My husband says I'm a terrible liar. So.
Okay. Okay. AJ, if a movie, again, thank you, Acid Burn FX, great questions here. If a movie was made about your life, what genre would it be, and who would play you?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
Okay. That's fair. So we'll use the pass on that one. that's okay if you'd like,
Yeah.
unless you
Some
want to think
people
about it.
say I look like Reese Witherspoon, so maybe she would play me.
I can see a resemblance, folks. If you're just listening in, we do have on the Cards Chat YouTube channel. You can see, and yes, I do see a resemblance as well. Okay. There you go. And we'll end off with this one. AJ, what superpower have you always wished you had, and why?
I think flying would be really cool. That seems like it. Like, I'm always a little terrified of so, you know, I don't mind flying. I've always wanted to, you know, skydive or something like that, but I'm a little bit terrified of it. So maybe flying where you can control it a little bit better would be a really fun one to have. And you could get, you know, places faster.
Well, thank you very much to everyone who sent in questions for the high-flying AJ Rudolph. I appreciate it. Just a friendly reminder to all of you out there in the Cards Chat community. We'd love to see you submit your questions for our future podcast guests in the dedicated thread on the forums. Guys, please be sure to give us a good review on iTunes and spread the word via your social media channels if you like the show. AJ, this has been absolutely delightful. Before we let you go, anything else you'd like to tell our Cards Chat audience?
I think we hit it all. So hopefully I'll see you all out there at the poker tables. I want to get back out there as much as possible, of course.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, feelings mutual. Thank you again so much. Thank you all for tuning in once again to another episode of the Cards Chat Podcast. I'm Robbie Straczynski. You can follow me on Twitter at CardPlayerLife. I wish you all a wonderful day.